Breaking news this morning, we woke up to the news that Caroline Dubois, one of the very best female boxers in the world, undefeated WBC lightweight champion, has left Boxer and signed with MVP. They continue to add to their growing stable of female fighters. It's an unbelievable stable at this point. And not only has she signed, I actually had to read the fine print twice. She's been added to the December 19th card, undercard of the Jake Joshua card that's going down in 10 days from now. There it is against Camila Panada, defending her WBC lightweight title. That's, again, in a little over a week's time. So what a nice treat that is for that card that continues to grow as well. I think it's finalized now, but I wanted to have her on to explain to us how this all came about, why she left Boxer to sign with MVP, how she's fighting in 10 days' time, all that and more. She is kind enough to join us from beautiful, sunny Miami. There she is. Hello, Caroline. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure to have you on, and congratulations on this news as well. And so let us get into it. Why did you decide to leave Boxer, and why did you decide to sign with MVP?
It was a decision that took a lot of thought. It was a long process. We've been talking back and forth with Nikisa, with the representatives from MVP, and it was just one of the moves that made the most sense. Obviously, I'm at this point in my career right now where sky's the limit, and there's such a massive ceiling, and there's so much on the line for myself. You know, I want to become undisputed. I want to do this. I want to do that, and we have to make the decision in terms of what's going to be the best route to get me to where I want to be. And MVP has signed up a lot of the females in my division. They're constantly putting the money where the mouth is, backing, supporting, and investing women's boxing. And I feel like it would have been stupid not to sign with them.
Did Boxer try to re-sign you?
They did. Ben came with an offer, and it just couldn't compete with what MVP was offering. And it's a shame, obviously, but I feel like I'm at this point right now where I need to be selfish, and I need to think about what's going to push the Caroline Dubois train as far and as fast as it can go. And I feel like MVP is the best route for that.
You had your last fight in March. That was under the Boxer umbrella. Did you know back then that you were likely going to go elsewhere? Or did you think at the time that you were going to stick around?
I did think that I would be sticking around. Obviously, we all knew that the Sky deal and Boxer deal was up in the air, and it was really dependent on how that played out. Obviously, when Sky left the association with Boxer, then that was another factor we had to take into. And when that happened, it was like, okay, so now that the money is not going to be there, the numbers of shows will probably decrease. We start looking elsewhere, and obviously MVP were very, very strongly wanting to meet me. They made a massive effort. They sent an offer. We refused it. They sent another one. We refused that one, and then they came with an offer that was just impossible to refuse. And it went to show how much they wanted me, and that's what I want to be. I want to be valued, and I feel like MVP will definitely do that.
If we would have spoken maybe a year ago, right, December of 24, January of 25, and I would have told you you would end 2025 as a member of MVP, the Jake Paul promotional company, which of course has become so much more than that, but I obviously know that he's so synonymous with the brand and with the promotion. Would you have ever believed that?
It wouldn't have been an insane prediction, just because if you see how hard and how strongly they're backing women's boxing, and they signed so many women, it wouldn't have been an insane thought. But if I'm being honest, I would have thought I would have stayed with Sky Sports, stayed with probably Boxer if they remain with Sky. But obviously when that came up in the end and they lost that deal together, I think it would have been definitely a strong option, MVP. So I'm happy. I'm very happy.
A week ago, Ben Shalom did an interview with Ring Magazine. I just want to read you the quote about, at the time he was asked whether or not you were still with Boxer. And the quote was, "We're in a situation now where we have to make decisions on who we can really invest in, who's going to sell tickets, who's going to perform, who's going to do big viewing numbers. And that's where we have to make decisions." What did you make of that quote? Because it sounds like you had already heard it, seen it. What did you make of that when you heard that?
No, I heard when I first read that, I'll be honest, the first reaction was to be slightly offended, because Ben did try very hard to re-sign me. But then I was actually sitting down in the living room with my sister, and I first read the quote, watched the interview, and I was like, oh, what's he trying to say? And I showed it to my sister, and she was like, oh. And I was like, isn't that slightly offensive? And she was like, no, but think about it from his point of view. What can he say? He's obviously, boxing is in such an interesting situation. All the promoters are trying to get at each other. They want to kick each other when they're down. And obviously, me leaving him is going to be a tough, soft spot for him. And he tried to negate it and make it seem a different type of way. So I understand why he said that, and I understand. I wish him the best, and I believe that if he's in it for the long run, he will be able to come through whatever this dip is that he is going through right now. But yeah, I'm not really upset by it anymore. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm focused on my own career, my own journey. I think you'll see that, Caroline Dubois, she brings everything that he says he is looking for. It's just unfortunately that he can't bring what I'm looking for.
And what would that be? What were you looking for that he couldn't bring?
Well, he wouldn't be able to make the interpromotional fights with, say, the Alicias, the Terry Harpers, Stephanie Hans and Holly Holmes. They're all with MVP. He would have to give a ridiculous offer to them. And I don't think that he would be able to do that. I don't think he will be able to put the fight on in terms of the amount of shows that he has. I don't know if he will be able to push me the way that I would want to be pushed. Obviously the BBC is a massive viewing platform in England, but it hasn't got that international level. It hasn't got that international platform, and that's where I'm at right now. I need to be pushed on a broader scale, on a bigger scale. I need to be involved in the biggest fights possible, and I feel like MVP, either they have all the fighters, or they will definitely make a big push to make him happen.
And by the way, I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate you taking the high road. Devil's advocate, when you say, like, what else is he going to say? I mean, he could say, we had a great run, we're figuring things out, and, if it doesn't work out, I wish her all the best. I felt like that was an unnecessary shot at you. That was just the way I read it. And to be honest, when I read it, I thought to myself, oh, she's leaving. I didn't know where you were ending up. I mean, I saw the rumors that you were going to maybe look at MVP, and obviously you wouldn't have to be a rocket scientist to think that you'd want to be there given the 135ers they have. But it felt like you guys did some great stuff. There was no need for that out the door.
No, 100%. I agreed. When I first read it and saw it, I felt pretty offended. But, I think with all this stuff, you've got Eddie Hearn constantly sniping at him and trying to...
Yes, it's a lot of drama over there.
The wrong way. All this stuff, and everybody's trying to, kick somebody when they're down or take the piss out of somebody when they lose a fight. So I think he just tried to say something before they said something, just to make it seem not so bad. But, it doesn't really bother me. I'm focused on my own journey right now. I'm focused on what Caroline Dubois is doing, and what Caroline Dubois is doing is big things. So.
Yes, and it all starts in 10 days. Was that always part of the plan, and we just found out, or is this coming together rather quickly for you?
It is coming together really quickly. The shortest notice for a fight that I've had previously. But luckily, we stay ready. I was preparing for a December 20th card. That was potentially if I re-signed with Boxer. So I was preparing for that. I was training. I've been in the gym. So that's why this made sense. We found out about this fight very recently. And we just had to accept it. It's such a massive platform. Obviously, we knew we were going to sign with MVP. So to jump on such a platform just made the most sense. And when they offered us the date, we're like, we're ready. Let's take it.
By the way, Queensberry, not really in the women's boxing business, but Eddie Hearn and Matchroom very much are still. Did you talk to them as well?
We didn't. I think we were focused on... No, we didn't.
That surprises me.
And it wasn't anything negative, it wasn't any negativity towards either Queensberry or Matchroom or anything like that. I said to myself in my head, what is the biggest platforms that are going to get me the biggest fights? And I said, it's going to be either Sky Sports or it's going to be MVP. And MVP have all the women that I want to fight. It just makes the most sense. And we had to go there.
Okay, so you mentioned 4. You mentioned Alicia Baumgartner, who's also on the card on December 19th. You mentioned Terry Harper. You mentioned Holly Holm and Stephanie Hahn, who are fighting on January 3rd in Puerto Rico. Can you rank them for me in terms of who you want to fight the most to least, 1 to 4?
That's hard because I want to fight all of them. Or it's more of like what I guess in what order would I want to fight them. So I would say Terry Harper, the winner of either Stephanie Hahn Holly Holm,
Hmm.
and obviously Tia Van Gardner.
Okay. So Baumgartner at the bottom of that for now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for now.
Why
I
Harper
feel like she
first?
would want to avoid that fight. Huh?
Why Harper first?
We're both British girls. I think it makes the most sense, and I know that MVP are going to really push to make an all-female show in not all-female, sorry, British show, and if that happens, I think that fight makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Right now, we're kind of similar in where we're coming at, and I just think it makes the most sense. It does the most talking. She said some words to me. I've said some words to her, and I want to see if she's backing herself as much as she seems to talk online. And I believe that fight makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense to make it happen next.
I interrupted you when you were talking about Alicia. You said that you think she's going to avoid the fight?
100%. She will. She will try to say, what has Karen done? Da, 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 da. She's not on my level. But if we're being honest right now, I think she needs me just as much as I need her. I think women's boxing needs to have big fights happen. We're missing out on that, unfortunately. And she needs to be involved in a big fight. She hasn't been involved in a big fight for a long time. And I think me versus Alicia Baumgartner is a massive fight. I think it's the biggest fight in women's boxing. But obviously, for that to happen, it needs to be built up. It needs to have the needle. It needs to have the belts on the line. And the way that we can do that is by me unifying and collecting as many belts as I can. And I know that she won't want to fight me unless I bring a massive dangling carrot to motivate her to get in the ring.
What did you think of her performance in July?
I wasn't too impressed, but I think a lot of people weren't impressed. And I think, to be honest, she wouldn't have been too happy with that performance. And it happens, sometimes you underperform, sometimes you underestimate your opponent. And I think probably she underestimated her opponent, and it was just a poor performance. And I'm sure she would agree. I hope that this next weekend she brings back what we expect every time we see Alicia. I want to see her bring power, explosiveness, and hopefully get the knockout. And if she can do that, then, we're back on.
Holly is a legend in the game. Obviously, boxing Hall of Famer, will become a UFC Hall of Famer, no doubt. And now to see her back at this age, winning her debut with MVP back in June, and this massive fight coming up in just a couple of weeks' time. Are you surprised that she's still doing this at this level, given everything she's been through?
No, I think if you look at Holly's character, she seems like a gym rat. She seems like one of them women you have to drag out the gym, and that could be a boxing gym, a running gym, a Muay Thai gym, or a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. She seems like one of them women who just love to fight, love to train, love to test herself and challenge herself. So it came to no surprise to see her want to go back into the boxing world. I was surprised how quickly the opportunity for her to fight for a world title came about, but it makes sense, and I'll be very interested in fighting the winner of that.
There was once a time where you were talking about the likes of Katie Taylor. Do you still hold out hope that could be possible?
Nah, not at all. To be honest, and I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I genuinely don't want to fight her. It doesn't really make any sense for either of us, and I think she's on a different trajectory. I think I'm in a really amazing spot right now where I don't need to be chasing one individual person. I can focus on my own career, and I know there's some really exciting fights ahead of me. Girls that are in their prime. Alicia Baumgartner is in her prime. If I beat her, nobody's gonna say I fought an old Alicia Baumgartner. No one's gonna say I fought a girl that was out of her prime. When I fight and I beat Elif Turhan, nobody's gonna say I got a washed up girl. Nobody's gonna say these things. Whereas if I fought Katie Taylor, it doesn't matter what happens. People are gonna say, it's a lose-lose situation for me, and I'm not really interested in that fight. It just doesn't do it for me. I'm chasing big names that are relevant and in their prime, that excite me, that cause me to be a little bit anxious, cause me to feel that, and I really want that. And I feel like I'm so blessed right now. I'm young, 24. I don't need to be chasing one person. It doesn't motivate me or do anything for me.
There was a story that came out last week of her in talks to fight Ronda Rousey. I don't know how valid this is. I think it's just something that's trying to be put out there to see if there's any interest. But what do you think would happen if Ronda Rousey fought Katie Taylor in a boxing match?
That's a crazy fight. That's all I can say. That's a crazy fight. I think Ronda, and correct me if I'm wrong, but surely she's one of the worst strikers in the UFC. So you add that on top of the fact that she herself said she was dealing with extreme concussions. She was anything could cause her to get a concussion, anything could cause her to get knocked out. I remember she did that podcast, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Obviously, if it makes money, it makes sense, and I'm sure it makes a lot of money. So if it happens, it happens. I think that's the kind of fight that Katie Taylor wants to be involved in, those cash out fights, and you can't hate her for that. You see other fighters doing it. You see Anthony Joshua doing it, Tank doing it. Why are we going to slag off Katie Taylor? She can do whatever she wants right now. She's in that position. It's a pure money grab, and let her do it. Kudos to her. Do you? It doesn't really interest me.
The state of women's boxing right now, I feel like it has gotten a big jolt with all of you coming together under the MVP umbrella. Are there other fighters who are outside of MVP that you would like to see them sign? It seemed like they were close to getting Clarissa. She chose to re-sign with Salida. She would have been a big one. Is there anyone out there outside of the orbit that you would like to? I have a name, but I'm wondering if you have a similar name.
I would have loved to see them sign Clarissa Shields, as you said. I would like to see them sign Michaela May. I think she'll be a really good addition.
That was the one, by the way. That was the one on my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're both thinking the same thing.
That's right.
No, I think Michaela would have been a really good addition. She talks the talk. She can back it up in the ring. She brings everything. I think that would have been a really solid signing. It'd be interesting to see what Lauren Price does. Mm-hmm. Maybe even Gabriela Fondora would be a really good shot.
That would be the other one. Yeah, she's unbelievable as of late. And for you, first time fighting outside of England as a pro. What does that What does that mean to you? Is that another check off the list? Is that something that you were striving for?
Yes. I think every kid who gets into boxing imagines fighting at the MSG, imagines fighting at the Barclays Center, imagine fighting in America, Las Vegas. And I've got the opportunity to tick off that dream so early in my career. It's amazing. Growing up watching Floyd Mayweather, watching Triple G, getting up in the morning to watch Canelo, to watch Mike Tyson, all of those things. And now I'm fighting in America. It's just unbelievable. I'm so excited. It just feels so surreal, to be honest. I can't wait to just go out there and, touch the American audience. I've been fighting at home for so long, and I've built a really solid fan base in England. And now it's time to do the same thing across the pond in America. And I think America has a really strong boxing fan base, and it's got that, that deep culture of boxing, and the people will appreciate that. And I think hopefully I go down well over there.
By the way, not trying to have you speak for him, but just curious, are we going to see your brother anytime soon? Any words on when he might reemerge?
I'm sure he's working on something. He's obviously in the gym. He's working with his new coach, and he's just, I think, trying to find that connection and just work on himself. I think he's in that rebuilding phase, and you can't really blame him. He's had some really good fights, been involved in some really big fights and hard fights as well. So he's just probably recollecting himself and just rebuilding himself.
He's the last man to fight and, of course, beat Anthony Joshua. I know you're new to the family, so I'm not trying to have you speak ill of Jake, but seriously, what do you make of this fight? And what do you make of his decision to take this fight after the Tank fight fell through?
It's a very brave fight. And it says a lot about his character. It says a lot about what he is trying to do in the sport of boxing. You have a superstar in boxing in terms of Anthony Joshua, and you've got a superstar in the world, and that he brings outside of boxing world. He brings the normal casual fans, and you got two superstars colliding. I think it can only do massive things for boxing, and it is doing massive things. You've got Netflix coming in, and it's him. He's the one doing that. So he's an entrepreneur. He's a big thinker. He thinks outside of the box, and you got Anthony Joshua, who's just a killer in the ring, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think the only thing we can do as the fans is just come with an open mind, come with no expectations, and just really just appreciate the show, because that's what it is. two guys putting it all on the line, willing to entertain us, and doing it in one of the most dangerous sports in the world. So hats off to both guys. All I can say is I hope they leave the ring healthy, safe, and just fulfill that they did a really good job.
Do you have a pick? Do you have a prediction?
I can't do that, Ariel.
I know.
I can't do that.
I'm being cheeky.
I knew you were gonna do
that. No. It's all good. The smile says it all. All good, and I appreciate that. By the way, no pre-fight parties on the day of the fight. All right, none of that stuff over in Miami. Yeah.
No, don't do that to me, Ariel.
None of that drama.
No.
You're just in a nice hotel over there. There's no mansions or any nice houses to go to over there. It's very normal over in South Beach. There's no parties. There's no distractions of any kind.
No. It's straight focus. We're here for business. I said it to my coach. I'm here to make money, not spend money. So I'm just here completely focused, locked in, and I honestly can't wait. My last week of proper training, and then it's fight week, and I can't wait to experience it.
Well, I can't wait to witness it in person. Looking forward to being there next week. Looking forward to formally meeting you in person, but great to have you on here for a few minutes. Congratulations. Have loved what you've done as of late as a pro. Obviously, you're running the Olympic Games as well. You have flown the flag very proudly, and it's great to see you get this opportunity. So good luck, congrats, and thank you for giving us some time, and looking forward to December 19th for you.
Thank you. The pleasure was all mine. I can't wait to see you next week, Ariel. So hopefully we can catch up in person over there.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. There she is, the great Caroline Dubois, the undefeated WBC lightweight champion. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.